The human ship entered the Karzoo system slowly, following the narrow, safe path marked by ancient alien beacons. Dr. Elias Rook stood alone near the viewing window, watching a world that should not exist. The planet below was massive, heavy with gravity, and wrapped in dark, violet clouds. Lightning flashed across its surface like living veins. No human had ever walked there before. Elias was not a soldier. He was not a politician. He was a xenobiologist, chosen because he was considered harmless. That alone made him uneasy. Behind him, the soft hum of the ship continued. The crew had strict orders. They would not land. They would not interfere. Elias would go alone. The Karzul had demanded it. When the docking clamp locked into place, Elias felt the weight of the decision settle on his chest. He checked his translator band one last time and adjusted his breathing. Fear would not help him here. Curiosity had carried humanity farther than courage ever had. The airlock opened. The gravity struck him immediately. It was heavier than Earth's, pressing down on his bones, forcing him to move slower, more carefully. The floor beneath his boots was smooth and dark, grown rather than built. Organic architecture curved upward, forming arches large enough to fit creatures many times his size. And they were waiting. The Karzul stood in silence, towering over him. They were massive, with long, jointed limbs and layered armor-like bodies. Their eyes reflected light in deep, unreadable colors. Elias had seen images before, but images had not prepared him for scale. He barely reached the height of their lower torso, yet none of them moved toward him. Instead, they stepped aside. A path opened. Elias swallowed and walked forward. The chamber he entered was enormous, wide enough to hold a human city square. At its center rose a platform, and upon it sat a single figure, larger than all the others. Her posture was still, commanding, and ancient. This was Shakera. The translator hummed softly against Elias's wrist as her voice filled the chamber. It was deep, layered, and slow, like stone shifting. "You are smaller than expected?" she said. Elias bowed his head slightly, the closest thing humans had to a universal sign of respect. "And you are greater than our records described." There was a pause. Soft clicking sounds echoed among the gathered Karzul. Elias did not know if it was approval or warning. "You were chosen because you are not a warrior," Shakera said. "Explain." Elias straightened. "Warriors see enemies. I study life, survival, adaptation." Her eyes focused fully on him now. "Then you understand death." "I understand loss," Elias replied, "and the effort it takes to prevent it." The chamber grew quieter. Shakera rose. The motion alone made Elias tense. She unfolded her limbs slowly, deliberately, until she stood at her full height. The shadows she cast stretched far across the floor.
"Our species is fading," she said. "We are strong.
We are vast, yet our children grow weaker. Our numbers shrink. Our future narrows." Elias felt a familiar ache. He had heard similar words spoken by human leaders during Earth's darker centuries. "You have survived," he said carefully. "Longer than most."
"Yes," Shakera replied.
"But survival without continuation is delay, not victory." She stepped closer. Each movement carried power, but not threat. Elias noticed that. She could crush him without effort, yet she did not rush, did not loom aggressively. That restraint spoke louder than force. "I have observed your species," she continued. "You are fragile, short-lived. Yet you adapt faster than any we have recorded?" Elias frowned slightly. "Adaptation often comes from necessity." "Then we share necessity," Shakera said. She stopped directly before him. The platform lights shifted, focusing on the two of them. Elias became aware of how many eyes were watching, not just curiosity, expectation. "I need a husband," Shakira said. The words landed like a sudden silence after thunder. Elias did not respond at once. His mind worked through layers of meaning, cultural possibility, and translator error. The band on his wrist pulsed, confirming accuracy. "And you," she added, "require strong offspring." The chamber erupted into low, echoing sounds. Elias remained still, his face carefully neutral, though his heart raced. He took a slow breath. "I believe," he said evenly. "There may be misunderstanding." Shakira tilted her head. "Explain." "In human culture," Elias said, choosing every word with care, "marriage is a bond chosen by individuals, not a solution imposed for survival." Shakira studied him. "You refuse." "No," Elias said. "I ask to understand." Silence followed. Long. Heavy. The gathered Karzul shifted uneasily. Refusal was common. Questioning was not. "You are afraid," Shakira observed. "Yes," Elias admitted. "But fear does not remove responsibility. That answer changed something." Shakira stepped back slightly. Most species beg, or submit, or attempt deception. "I am not here to conquer," Elias said, "and I cannot be owned." Another pause.
"Interesting," she said at last. She turned and gestured toward the chamber walls.
Images formed in the air, projected from living structures. Elias watched as history unfolded before him. He saw the Karzul in their prime, vast cities, endless offspring, strength measured in numbers, and power. Then slow decline, fewer births, genetic repetition, isolation. "You see our problem?" Shakira said. "We are too pure." Elias nodded slowly. "Genetic stagnation. Your species mixes," she said. "Not just bodies. Ideas, beliefs, weakness, and strength." "Yes," Elias said. "Sometimes painfully." "Pain is not failure," Shakira replied. "It is signal." The images faded. "I do not seek domination," Shakira said. "I seek continuation. Our kind requires new paths. Yours requires allies." Elias felt the weight of history pressing against the present. This was not a demand born of desire. It was calculation. Survival. Still, he stood firm. "If I agree to anything," he said, "it must be based on consent, mutual understanding, and choice." Shakira considered him. "Choice," she repeated. "A strange word. It is the reason we are still here," Elias said. Another long silence passed. Then Shakira spoke, her voice softer than before. "Then you will stay," she said. "You will learn. And I will decide." Elias exhaled slowly. "And I will also decide." A ripple of sound moved through the chamber. Shock, curiosity, perhaps respect. "So be it," Shakira said. "The small one chooses to stand." The lights dimmed. The court slowly dispersed, leaving Elias alone beneath the vast ceiling of living stone. As he followed the attendants assigned to him, Elias understood one thing clearly. Humanity had not been summoned as prey. They had been summoned as possibility. And whatever choice came next would echo far beyond this world. Elias woke slowly, not because he was tired, but because the air felt different. It was thicker, warmer, and filled with a soft humming sound that seemed to come from the walls themselves. He lay still for a moment, staring upward. The ceiling curved high above him, glowing faintly with shifting patterns of light. It reminded him of a living sky. He was not restrained. That fact alone surprised him. He sat up carefully, testing the heavy gravity again. His body ached, but not painfully. A shallow pool of clear liquid rested near the edge of the room, steaming slightly. When he dipped his fingers into it, the translator band vibrated. Mineral water, it translated, for recovery. So they were watching. Elias stood and moved slowly around the chamber. There were no doors, only openings that responded when he approached. The space was large, but not empty. Objects shaped like furniture rested along the walls, sized for beings far larger than him, yet adjusted somehow to be usable. They had prepared for him. That thought stayed with him as attendants arrived. 3 Karzul entered, smaller than Shakera, but still towering over Elias. Their movements were calm and careful, their limbs folding inward to avoid accidental harm. "You will accompany us," one said through the translator. "Observation is required." Elias nodded. "Observation of what?" "Of you," the attendant replied. "And of us." They led him through long corridors that curved and spiraled upward. Along the way, Elias saw more of the city. It was vast, grown rather than built, with layered platforms and open spaces filled with movement. Young Karzul scuttled between elders. Workers tended to structures that pulsed softly, as if breathing. There were few children. Elias noticed that immediately. The realization settled heavily in his chest. They brought him to a wide hall, open to the air. The sky above was dark purple, streaked with slow-moving clouds. Shakera waited at the center, surrounded by advisors. "You rest," she said when she saw him. "Good. I am still alive," Elias replied. "That is also good." Several advisors clicked softly at that. Shakera motioned him closer. "Today you will witness our ways. You will speak. You will question. You will not hide your thoughts." Elias hesitated. "And if my thoughts offend, then we will learn something," she said. That answer unsettled him more than any threat. They began with observation. Elias was shown how Karzul society functioned. He saw councils where widows debated resource use with cold logic. He saw warriors training not for conquest, but defense. He saw scientists working tirelessly, their frustration clear as failed genetic charts glowed in the air. At one point, a smaller Karzul approached Elias, staring openly at him. "Why are you so small?" the young one asked. Elias crouched slightly to lower himself. "Why are you so large?" The young one considered this. "To survive. So are we," Elias said. The child clicked thoughtfully and scurried away. Shakira watched the exchange closely. Later, they brought Elias before the council. The space was circular, with Shakira at the highest point. Elias stood alone in the center, painfully aware of how exposed he was. "You are to explain humans," one advisor said, truthfully. Elias took a breath. "We are not united. We argue. We fail often, but we survive because we allow difference." "Difference causes weakness," another said. "Difference creates solutions," Elias replied. "Sameness creates comfort. Comfort leads to decay." The room grew quiet. Shakera leaned forward. "You speak as if failure is valuable." "It is," Elias said. "Failure teaches us what strength actually is." A murmur spread through the council. "Then why do your people fight each other?" an advisor asked. Elias did not dodge the question. "Because we forget our lessons, but we also remember them again." Shakera raised a limb, silencing the room. "You were offered union," she said. "You did not accept." "You did not refuse." "Yes," Elias said, "because survival alone is not enough reason." A sharp sound echoed. "You deny us hope?" "No," Elias said quickly. "I deny fear-based decisions." That answer struck deep. Elias saw it in the way Shakera stilled. "You believe choice must exist," she said, "even when extinction approaches." "Yes," Elias said, "especially then." Time passed differently among the Karzul. Elias could not measure hours, but days began to form a rhythm. He ate with them, learned their symbols, and listened to their stories. He noticed how often Shakera watched from a distance, never interfering, always observing. One cycle, she summoned him. Alone, they stood on a high platform overlooking the city. Wind moved through the structures, carrying faint vibrations Elias felt more than heard. "You confuse my people," Shakera said. "I tend to do that," Elias replied carefully. "You show no hunger for power," she said, "yet you influence without command." "That is how humans lead," Elias said. "Sometimes." She turned her many eyes toward him. "If you joined us, your influence would reshape everything." Elias met her gaze. "That is why I hesitate." Shakera stepped closer. "You fear harming us?" "I fear being used," Elias said, "and I fear using you." That honesty hung between them. "Among my kind," Shakera said, "union is duty. Desire is irrelevant." "And among mine," Elias said, "duty without choice destroys trust." They stood in silence. Below them, two Karzul workers argued briefly over resource allocation, then resolved it through shared calculation. Elias realized something then. They were not cruel. They were trapped. Later that cycle, alarms echoed through the city. Not panic, but warning. Shakera moved instantly, and Elias followed as best he could. A foreign vessel had entered orbit, an alien delegation from a rival species, one that had watched the Karzul weaken over generations. "They seek advantage," an advisor said. "They believe us desperate." "They are not wrong," Shakera replied. Elias looked at the projected images. The rival species were smaller than the Karzul, but aggressive, confident. "They will misinterpret your proposal," Elias said quietly. "Let them," Shakera replied. "Truth does not require permission." The delegation was received publicly. They laughed openly when they saw Elias standing beside Shakera. "A pet," one of them said. "Or breeding stock?" Elias felt anger rise, but he did not act. Shakera did. "This human stands here by choice," she said. "Can you say the same of those who follow you?" The rival leader paused. Elias stepped forward then, surprising even himself. "We are not negotiating bodies," he said. "We are discussing futures." The rivals dismissed him, but the seed had been planted. After they left, Shakera turned to Elias. "You spoke when silence would have been safer." "Yes," Elias said, "because silence would have made their assumption true." That night, alone again in his chamber, Elias finally felt the weight of exhaustion. He sat at the edge of the resting space, staring at his hands. He realized the truth. This was not about marriage. It was about whether two species could redefine survival without repeating the same mistakes, and the decision was drawing closer. Far above the city, the stars shifted slowly, indifferent to fear, hope, or choice. But Elias knew one thing. Whatever came next, it would not be forced, and that alone made it powerful. The city felt different after the rival delegation left. The air was heavier, not with fear, but with awareness. The Karzul moved faster, spoke less, and watched the sky more often. Elias noticed it during his walks through the open halls and wide platforms. Survival was no longer a distant concern. It was standing at the edge, looking inward. Shakera summoned Elias again, this time not to a public space, but to a private chamber, deep within the structure. The walls there were smoother, quieter, and dimmer, pulsing with a slow rhythm that reminded Elias of a heartbeat. "You are becoming a variable," Shakera said once they were alone. Elias tilted his head slightly. Is that dangerous? Variables are uncomfortable, she replied. But stagnation is fatal. She gestured, and a series of projections appeared between them. They showed trade routes, nearby systems, and the slow movement of foreign fleets. They watch us, Shakera said. They sense weakness. They sense change, Elias corrected. And change frightens those who depend on patterns. Shakera studied him closely. You speak with confidence. I speak with experience, Elias said. Humans have been prey many times. We survived by becoming unpredictable. Unpredictability invites conflict, she said. It also prevents domination, Elias replied. The words lingered. Over the following cycles, Elias was invited into deeper discussions, not as a guest, but as a participant. He sat beside scientists, planners, and elders, listening more than speaking. When he did speak, it was often to ask questions they had stopped asking long ago. Why must strength be inherited the same way? He asked one genetic council. Because deviation risks instability, an elder replied. And stagnation guarantees collapse, Elias said calmly. They did not argue. They recorded. Slowly, small changes began to appear. Research models adjusted. New genetic simulations formed, not focused on dominance traits, but adaptability. The idea was strange to them, but strangely logical. Shakera watched it all. One cycle, she asked Elias, to walk with her beyond the city's central structures. They moved across a wide platform that overlooked a barren expanse where old structures stood abandoned. This was once a nursery sector, she said. Now it is empty. Elias felt a deep sadness settle in his chest. We have places like this on Earth too. Ghost cities. Forgotten hopes. Shakera stopped walking. You speak of loss without shame. Loss is proof that something mattered, Elias said. She turned toward him fully. If I choose you, my people will follow. If I do not, they will remain as they are. This is the truth. Elias did not answer immediately. He looked out over the empty structures, imagining what they once were. If you choose me, he said slowly, it cannot be as a solution alone. It must be as a symbol of change. Otherwise it will fail. A symbol does not produce offspring, Shakera said. No, Elias agreed. But a system that respects choice will. That answer unsettled her. Before she could respond, alarms echoed again. This time, sharper. More urgent. Another fleet had arrived. Not diplomats. They are forming a blockade, an advisor reported moments later. They claim concern for regional stability. They claim opportunity, Shakera said. Elias studied the projections. They expect submission or panic. What do you suggest? She asked. Elias took a slow breath. Transparency. The advisors reacted immediately, their clicking sharp and disapproving. Expose weakness? One demanded. Expose intent, Elias corrected. Show them we are not desperate. We are deliberate. Shakera raised a limb, silencing them. Explain. Elias stepped forward. Broadcast your plans, your research, your alliance with humanity. Not as a plea, but as a declaration. They will exploit it, an advisor said. They already plan to, Elias replied.
The difference is whether you control the story. Shakera looked at him for a long time. Then she nodded once.
The broadcast went out across nearby systems. Calm, clear, unapologetic. The Karzul acknowledged their struggle openly and declared cooperation with humanity not as weakness, but as evolution. Elias watched from the side as Shakera addressed the galaxy. We do not fear change, she said. We choose it. The response was immediate. Some species withdrew, uncertain. Others sent observers instead of fleets. The blockade hesitated. The rivals had expected silence or submission. They received confidence. But that night, Elias returned to his chamber exhausted. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down harder than gravity. He wondered if he had overstepped, if his presence had accelerated a crisis rather than eased it. Sleep came slowly. When he woke, Shakera was there. She stood quietly near the edge of the chamber, her massive form softened by stillness. "I did not summon you," Elias said, sitting up. "No," she replied. "I came to listen." That surprised him. "You changed the trajectory of my people today," she said. "Without command, without force." "I only offered perspective," Elias said. "Perspective is power," she replied. She moved closer, but not too close.
I have studied your kind, Shakera continued. You bond emotionally.
You value individuality. These traits weaken cohesion. "They also create loyalty," Elias said. "Not because it is required, but because it is chosen." Shakera lowered herself slightly, bringing her eyes closer to his level. "If I choose you, will you remain when it becomes difficult?" Elias met her gaze. "I already have." Silence filled the chamber. Outside, the blockade fleet shifted position, not attacking, watching. Shakera straightened. "Tomorrow, the council will demand my decision." "And what do you want?" Elias asked quietly. She hesitated. "That is a question my people do not ask," she said. "And yet, you have taught me that I must." She left then, leaving Elias alone with his thoughts. The next cycle, the council gathered. Tension filled the chamber like static. Elias stood again at the center, but this time he felt something different. Not exposure. Belonging. Shakera addressed them all. "Our future will not be secured through fear," she said, "nor through tradition alone." She turned toward Elias. This human did not submit. He did not dominate. He stood. The council watched closely. "I will choose," Shakera said, "but not yet." A wave of reaction spread. "The choice must be mutual," she continued. "And informed," she declared a new phase. Shared governance discussions, cultural integration, time. The rival fleet, upon receiving this announcement, withdrew slightly. Confusion weakened their resolve. Elias exhaled slowly. The path forward was still uncertain, but it was no longer rushed. As the council dispersed, Shakera paused beside Elias. "You have changed us," she said. "No," Elias replied. "You chose to change." That distinction mattered. High above, distant stars burned quietly. The galaxy watched a small human and a giant widow rewrite expectations without firing a single weapon. And the final choice was still ahead.